Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we've got ourselves a mailbag pod. The first question is going to be about Andrew Thomas. Justin, I'm not going to ask how are you, because I think we're both pretty distraught on this news that Andrew Thomas is most likely done for the year or is going to miss extended time. We had kind of heard the news on Monday, but it was like they're getting second opinions, and it just seems like it's headed for that. We have a mailbag question about it, and I am distraught, like truly distraught, because I genuinely don't think there's a more valuable player on the team.
No, I think maybe you can argue Dex at this point just because Dexter Lawrence is that good, but even before Dexter Lawrence got good at the start of 2022, it's been Andrew Thomas who has been the best player on the team, and he's been really good, and I think he plays the second most important position in the game of football. It's quarterback, that's number one, and then it's your left tackle that protects the blind side, that's number two. And you've seen, you've seen offensive lines before for the Giants, like in 2022, be able to survive because you have Andrew Thomas that's playing at an all-pro level. And then you've seen how much the offensive line's improved this year, and you're able to leave Andrew Thomas on an island alone. He takes care of business for the most part. So, this is, I'm not breaking any news here by telling you this is a huge loss, and what makes this even worse is now you need to have a conversation of Evan Neal or Josh Azudu comes in to, not just losing Andrew Thomas, but you have a bad player who's going to be coming in now and will be playing for the New York Giants at a very, very, very valuable position at tackle.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of good mailbag questions. We'll get into it all. First, Justin, this episode is brought to you by some special people. We got Zach Longsworth. He's going to give us a long's worth of Patreons. And then John Murtha. Not MRSA, not the disease you get on your face, football players from turf fields. Murtha. Justin, who are these people?
These wonderful people went to patreon.com/talkinggiants, and for $2 a month plus some other tiers, you get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail. Plus, there's some shirt raffles a couple times a month. Remember 2022? There was a big awards now movement for Andrew Thomas. That's still one of my favorite shirts on the store. You could possibly win that shirt if you're mourning Andrew Thomas. Our guy J5 Johnny, he was at the tailgate last week. He left a comment on Instagram that it's almost like a family member died. And at least for you, that's the vibes that you're bringing right now. Andrew Thomas going down for possibly the year. Patreon.com/talkofgiants. Come mourn with us. Thanks, patrons.
Yeah. Take it away, Steve.
Mail time.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
Yeah, let's get to it. Jay Aduna at Jay Aduna 86171. He asked, is the season over if Andrew Thomas, if AT, our guy, is out? Bobby Skinner?
Yeah, and we've talked about this when we're talking good about Andrew Thomas, about like the splits with and without him. But the Giants offense and Daniel Jones specifically have been two totally different players, and if you thought it was bad with him, we'll just get ready for without him. I mean, the Giants, averaged 12.5 points per game without him, last year. Since 2021, it's an entire a touchdown difference, like a 7-point per game difference. That's crazy, right? Like that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a crazy for on-off split with Andrew Thomas. And then you look at
doesn't score a lot.
Yeah, and you look at Daniel Jones's numbers with and without Thomas since 2021. With him, 212 yards per game, 162 yards per game without him. So a difference of 50 yards per game. That's a lot, right? That is a big difference. The touchdowns, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions with him. Without him, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Both basically his interception rate goes up double. Without him, his touchdown rate goes up double with him. And then the sack rate is huge too, right? 6.9% sack rate with him, 10.6% without him. This is we've seen the Giants offense be disastrous. Like, just think about how disastrous it was last year. And that was basically almost all because of Andrew Thomas. You know, the offensive line was not good with Andrew Thomas, but it wasn't disastrous with him. He makes such a huge difference. And it's not just the fact that the blind side's taken care of. They trust him one-on-one. Right? I don't know what his rate is compared to other guys, but they just leave him on an island. Like, against great players, too, like Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson. You know, going back and watching the film, and specifically the fact that you realize he has a season-ending injury that he gave the second sack with, I understand he gave up those 2 sacks to Hendrickson. He whipped his ass. He handled Hendrickson on an island all game long, right? Like, I used to do those matchup breakdowns, Justin, on Jam Football in the NFL. Like, looking, and it's like, man, there's like only a handful of snaps because they double team so much or they chip. Thomas, they leave on an island. So now you're going to have to move someone to left tackle that you can't put on an island. So that's going to hurt the interior guys.
It's going to hurt everyone else.
It's going to, like, it hurts everybody, man. It's going to hurt play calling, right? Brian Daboll's been pretty damn aggressive in his play calling compared to the last couple of years. That's going to change. It hurts them so bad. And it kills me for Thomas because he's our guy. He missed 4 games in 2021, 0 the next year, 7 last year, and now he's going to miss a ton this year. Giants are in a rough spot with Andrew Thomas. We've seen time and time again that he is the most important player on the roster. Like Dexter Lawrence is a better player, but I truly think that Thomas, it's disaster without him. I know we're not happy with the offense right now, and they're bad. They're flat out bad. But there is a difference between what we've seen on the field for 6 weeks and the disaster that this offense has been without Andrew Thomas.
Oh, it's watchable. I mean, this year, in a way, I do look forward to the Giants gaining possession of the football this year because maybe they can do something. Maybe they can put a drive together, and maybe somebody can make a play. And a lot of that has been because of the offensive line, and Andrew Thomas has been the one leading the way. Where the Giants, I don't think they've done play action a ton this year compared to previous years, but when the quarterback turns his shoulder, right? When the quarterback turns his back shoulder and the back of his body is facing the left side of the offensive line, it's always Andrew Thomas that's out there in his kick steps and those vertical sets, and it's him on an island versus probably a really good edge rusher because there's just really good edge rushers every single week that you're going to face. There's some elite ones that are better than the good ones or the great ones, but Andrew Thomas takes care of business, dude. I don't have much to add other besides the fact that I hate to say it because, again, this is our dude, this is our guy, but I'm now approaching every year being like worried that Andrew Thomas is going to get hurt.
Oh, it's the reality.
I don't want to do that because now this is the foot. Usually it's an ankle, or last year was the hamstring. But now it's like it's foot issues. So I hate to do this, but I am approaching every year being afraid that Andrew Thomas is going to get hurt with some lower body injury.
Yeah, it's just a reality. Doesn't mean the Giants move off. They're not going to it does, but it just changes things. Where it's like, all right, like swing tackle needs to be a priority every single year for the next 5-6 years. Because of that injury, and it's just a reality. Like Tyron Smith, I know it's different injuries and stuff. Tyron Smith had a lot of back issues, but like Tyron Smith was a great tackle for the Cowboys year in, year out, but he missed the games, and I think this is I think this is what we will live life as with Andrew Thomas. He'll have some full seasons, but Tyron Smith, you look at him as like he didn't play a full season for 5-6 years at the end.
I think last year was like the only exception.
Yeah, so like that's where the Giants are with Andrew Thomas. I understand it's like we want to react and be like we need to talk about. Yeah, this is what it is. The Giants are not moving off of this player, but this is the reality. Is that they have a left tackle who has missed games in 3 out of the last 4 years, and dealt with an ankle injury all of his rookie year and played through it. So now here's the thing. Everyone wants to say, again, Carmen Basillo. It's like our memories are like fucking goldfish. Like, did you not watch the guy in the preseason? Jermaine Illuminor needs to go to left tackle. And the people hoping that Evan Neal goes to left tackle, I don't even think Evan Neal's getting inserted into this lineup. I think it's going to be Josh Azudu. Josh Azudu was the guy getting ready on on Sunday night.
But even if they move Jermaine to left tackle, you think it'll be Azudu at right tackle?
I don't know about that. If they left Jermaine at right tackle, I think it'd be Azudu. So I don't know.
That I agree with.
I don't know about that, but I like, to me, you have to move Jermaine Illuminor to left tackle. You have to. It's just the blind side is so much more important. You have to have someone that you can trust back there because it's going to wreck plays. It's going to, that's the difference between, that is the hope that the difference between this year's and other years is that Jermaine Illuminor, who has moved to left tackle before, he played left tackle some last year, he's not going to be some great left tackle, but you can go out there and play him and you can run off offense, and you're going to have to deal with the bad right tackle. I think this influences the run game a lot more than we talk about because I think Neal is really bad in the run. Azudu might actually be better in that area. But this hope that Evan Neal's going to move to left tackle and that's the position he played at college. Well, you know what he also played at college? Well, he played the exact same amount of games at right tackle compared to left tackle. Actually, probably more at right tackle. When you go back and look at it. And he's played 2 years and some change at right tackle only. He hasn't worked at left tackle at all. So if anything, he's more comfortable with the right side at this point. He's not a good football player. Carmen Brastillo cannot magically fix him. What he can do is get this team to work like a unit. He makes mental mistakes. Jermaine Illuminor needs to go to left tackle, and they put Neal or Azudu at right tackle. Whatever, pick one. But both of them are going to be bad.
Yeah, both. That's the main story. Is that both of them are going to be bad. I would rather have the right tackle be bad than the left tackle. Number one, which I know you agree with, and number two, Azudu just hasn't played right tackle. Azudu isn't a tackle. I would rather have Jermaine go to left tackle and then Evan Neal at right tackle. That's what I would rather have. I do not want Josh Azudu playing at all. Even though he may be, you say he may be better in the run game. I don't know, man. I just
he could be better as a pass blocker too. Azudu may just be better. I would ring up Tyree Phillips, see if we get him on the practice squad.
Oh yeah, that's a given too. We were talking about that maybe happening in August. If Thomas is going to move to IR, I think they have to make a move for another backup tackle that has actually played before. So.
Yeah, and you're going to have to give help to the right side consistently. You're going to have to give more help on the left side. You're going to have to change the way you play offense. Yeah.
They're probably going to move more to 12, 12 personnel, and Daniel Bellinger is going to be out on the field more, and we're going to talk about Dabolls' play calling, and I'm going to talk about how they've been throwing the ball a ton on first down. The pass rate on early downs is probably going to go down, and the offense is just going to get. Yeah, the offense, I'll say one thing. The offense hasn't been boring this year. Like, it hasn't been abysmal to watch football. No matter what you think of Daniel Jones, no matter what you think of this or that, Maliki Neighbors has made it fun. Wandale Robinson getting the ball has made it fun at times. Obviously, the Seattle game was really fun. They've moved the ball, and I don't know. I think we're going to start seeing bottom quarter offense again by the Giants with this Thomas departure.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe Neighbors saves it. Maybe Neighbors could save it that much, but
it should be better than what it was last year. Without Andrew Thomas, it should definitely be better than that. But it's really worrisome, man. And it's different, like getting through a few weeks without him compared to missing him. Like you remember 2021, they missed him for 3 games, and you had like the Panthers game where they, moved Daniel Jones out of the pocket almost like 60% of the time, did stuff like that. Then they had, the Raiders game where they barely threw the ball the entire second. Like, so but when you're doing it for a whole season, it just makes it a lot tougher because it's like you can't manage for a 3-game stretch. You gotta learn a new way to play offense.
And that's the thing with Thomas too, is that the last 2 years it's been the hamstring injury that kept him out for most of the year. And he came back and he was still hurt. And didn't he have the sprained MCL or something like that?
Yeah,
right?
Some type of MCL injury.
So he played like a warrior coming back there. But that's been the thing the last 2 years, is that it kept him out for a large gap of when the season mattered in September and October. And now this year, it's going to keep you out for the year. I mean, hey, if you're going to have injuries, I'd rather it be like 21. I'd rather it be like 20, where if you get the ankle sprain, all right, cool, we'll miss 2 or 3 weeks, but then we know that we're going to get you back. And that's been the main difference between the first 2 years of injuries and then the last 2 years of injuries. So, and the one year where he was fully healthy, he was an All-Pro. And we were making shirts. Awards now.
Miss you, Drew. Get better. All right, Justin, next question.
Next question is coming from Beans with 4 S's at I am Beans with 2 S's. The numbers and results are showing that our defense is playing pretty well, but I have no idea how this is happening considering there is still a lack of talent on all levels. Can you explain what or who is specifically allowing the Giants defense to succeed as much as they are? Bobby, I have numbers, but also I know you have film.
Well, I want to give the basic numbers to tell the story because they're 9th in scoring. You know, that's good. They're 17th in EPA per play, below average, but right at average. 12th in passing yards, 15th in rushing yards per game. They're 23rd in success rate, 22nd in pass success rate, and 8th in rush success rate. The main thing, one, is they are the number 6 red zone defense. That has been huge. They're 11th in third down defense. And then, let's kind of tell the story of the season. The Vikings only scored 21 points on them despite moving the ball with ease. The Commanders scored on every drive, but only field goals. So we weren't happy with the defense after the first 2 games. Then they abused the Browns by blitzing like crazy. And honestly, I think they played basic against 3 teams that don't run the ball, but try to force the ball to their wide receiver ones. Because, and I'm going to go through some other stats too about the rushing offenses they played. They're a pretty basic defense, man. They don't do anything crazy. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but when we have these defensive performances in the past, 4 years, and I do the film reviews, Justin, with Patrick Graham, I'm like, look at this replacement zone, and they move this guy here, and they trick the quarterback and get an interception. With Wink Martindale, it's the blitzes he's showing and backing guys out. With Shane Bowen, it's basically 2 high safeties. One rotates down most of the time. They play cover 1 or cover 3, and on passing downs, they stunt their front. That's really the main thing, is they stunt up front. And then they double team the wide receiver ones often. But I think this is the main reason for the last 4 games, though. Despite the fact that they play almost exclusively from light boxes, the last 4 teams have handed the ball off 16 times, 7, 17, and 12 times. Those teams are 26th, 28th, 29th, and 32nd in rushing yards per game. And none of those teams like to run the ball. They're all low in attempt rate. So I think the DB stepping up has been the biggest difference. I think with the help of double teams, outside of Cooper and CeeDee Lamb got Banks, but with the help of double teams, they've been able to limit wide receiver ones and just Flott and Banks playing a little better. I also think Drew Phillips and Nick McLeod being at nickel corner instead of on the outside and having Flott in the middle has made a big difference in the run game in all of this. So I think it's the players stepping up and then the stunts. The stunts have just worked really, really well, and they've been able to get all those sacks by running all those stunts.
Yeah, I have some stats too. I mean, I'm sure you probably mentioned this, but leading the league in sacks and sack rate. I mean, having a sack rate of 11% is huge. So even if your defense isn't awesome, and even if your defense isn't always clicking on all cylinders, sacks are drive killers. And when at this rate, you're getting a sack 11%, so that's slightly over 1 out of every 10 plays. That's huge. That's huge. I mean, if you're basically having a play that's ending a drive 1 out of every 10 plays, that's huge for a defense. So that's number 1. While being 15th in blitz rate according to Next Gen. So you're first in the league in sacks, you're first in the league in sack rate while being 15th in blitz rate. That's awesome. The front is doing its job. Dexter Lawrence being second in the league in sacks with 7. That's awesome. Giants are also second in the league in tackles for loss. Dexter Lawrence has 5. Brian Burns have 5. They both lead the team with 5 each. So, you're forcing negative plays on the run game, which is awesome. Drew Phillips has been involved, like you said, too. But here are the two also main things, too, from a stat standpoint. Quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball against the Giants' defense. They have the third fastest time to throw. So teams are not holding on to the football. They're not. And as a result, Giants' defense has the fourth lowest average depth of target in the National Football League as well. So they are allowing explosive play, like they're allowing explosive pass plays of 20-plus yards. The 12th most, not the highest rate, but I just have they're allowing them at the 12th most. They've allowed the 12th most 20-plus yard pass plays. But overall, teams are not throwing the ball down the field against the Giants. They're getting rid of the ball fast. And despite of the teams getting rid of the ball fast and not throwing it down the field, the Giants are ending plays in sacks and negative plays, which is huge for them. And also, you're muted, by the way. And also, teams, like Bobby said, we haven't played a team that's really fully committed themselves to running the ball since Washington. And I do think that we're going to play teams like Philly. We're going to play teams like the Saints that I think will commit themselves to running the ball. And that will be a different challenge that this Giants team has not had in over a month.
And that's my biggest worry for the sustainability is, will teams start to just run the ball a lot more? But here's the part of that too, is when you play from light boxes, you're kind of keeping the runs inside, and that allows Dex to do damage, and that's what he's done. That's the difference between, I think that was part of the issue with Wink Martindale's defense, is they squeezed everything inside, which pushes everything outside, and the DBs were awful, and allowed a lot of their big, rushing attempts. The first year was just the linebackers were the worst unit we've seen in a long time. So that's my worry about consistent, because they're not doing anything crazy, right? And they're not getting interceptions, and I don't think they're going to be a team that gets a lot of interceptions either, because they just kind of run basic man coverage and cover 3, and they're not DBs that are going to go and do that consistently. They have one interception on the year, and that's Darius Moasa in the first game. So I worry a little bit about that, and just stunts. Again, they've played teams that don't want to run the ball at all. We're not talking about teams that aren't, they're not the best run team. They're teams that just don't want to run the ball. The Browns, the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Those are basically 4 of your bottom 6 rushing units in the NFL. So that's my biggest worry for the continuity of it, or of it continuing. And there was one other point I had that I didn't put on here. And also it's just they have been pretty damn good in the red zone, and that can catch up with you as well. But,
let me ask you this, because nobody specifically asked
that's
this.
what I wanted to say, was the Bengals. I don't know what you mentioned, the time to throw. The Bengals were trying to make every play basically some 10+ yard route, and it was just okay, well, we're double teaming sometimes on both sides, and we're stunting, and you're just kind of playing into our hand. It was very weird that the Bengals they didn't run a lot of quick game with their top targets.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you how, we talked about this Bengals offense being top 3 in the league, top 3 in efficiency, Joe Burrow topping, and a lot of the passing categories. I was going to ask you, how did Shane Bowen and the Giants defense shut them down? That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
They basically just doubled Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow was looking for Jamar Chase all the time, and the pass rush got home, and a lot of time it was off those stunts. And their run game was not very good, and they didn't get to it. But they just put them behind downs, and it felt like they were trying to. I thought it was an awful offensive game plan from Zach Taylor. I was watching that film, and I was like, I haven't seen one thing I've been impressed by yet here. So I think that plays a part of it. So we'll see how it continues. But I will say the one thing that's been the most encouraging is the DBs playing better. Banks has played better the last couple weeks. Flott has been pretty solid in coverage.
Yeah, I agree.
He's gotten a lot of double team help, but he's not getting smoked either. So I think Flott, that's not a take I was expecting to have.
No.
Where now I'm yeah, you could keep Adoree off the field. I'm glad he's here for the depth, but keep him off the field. Keep Flott on the field.
I'm with you. Flott's been a nice surprise, especially Flott on. I don't care if you're getting double. I don't care if you're getting double help. The only play that really Jamar Chase had was, the broken play where that's just Burrow having a good throw and Jamar Chase having a good catch. That's awesome stuff. So, awesome stuff.
Good throw and catch for the boys.
Ready for the next question?
Question.
Next question is Anthony at @antis_1. My friend Anthony. Read the ad or else. So I'll read an ad and I'll talk to you about
Or else.
Captain Morgan. This episode of this mailbag is brought to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum sponsor of the NFL. Did you know, and you know this, the NFL season is where legends are born on and off the field. Some are last-second plays that turn the tide and change a team's destiny, while others are of friends who follow the captain from within to make a regular get-together into the stuff of legends, people. So grab your crew, grab a captain and cola, grab the L16 tailgating crew, and make it a story to remember, because legends start when you follow the captain. By the way, I mean, I know the Andrew Thomas news is a little bit of a bummer, but big tailgate this weekend. Just saying.
We're
Morgan.
still beating Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. Don't get that confused.
Don't get that twisted. There'll be Captain Morgan there. Visit followthecaptain.com for more. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. They'll be Captain there whether they like it or not, and whether you like it or not. You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. Next question.
Next question is coming from Thomas at Team TomTom69. Nice. Well, I mean, this is a you question. Why does Hyatt suck so bad? Thomas was at the game and focused on him, and he is never open. If you jam him at the line, he can't overcome it. In 3 wide receiver sets, it's like playing with 2, and I agree with Thomas. Bobby, why does
Thomas
Jalen
answered
Hyatt
his
suck
own
so
damn
bad?
question.
Yeah, good
What's
for you,
the point
Thomas.
of asking a question if you're going to answer it? No, but Thomas is correct. Like, you just can't trust him. You can't trust him to be in the right spot. Like, he basically brings you no use besides clear outs, and then when you do hit him on the deep route, that'll be cool, right? Because it'll happen at some point. But like, I put a clip on Twitter, man, where they run an RPO, and it's for him, and he doesn't get off the release, and he quits. Because he loses the release and he quits. And Daniel Jones is staring at him like, what the fuck are you doing? And he has to scramble to the right and throw the ball away. Like, he cannot get off the line of scrimmage. He gets moved inside and out. He can't make plays on the football up the sideline. Like, to me, he brings you no use outside of clear outs. You know, like, you can't put him on the front side of progressions because he's not going to be in the right place at the right time. You can't get to him on the back side of progressions when he's open because you can't trust that he's going to be open or in the right spot at the right time when you have to be quick on those. Like, I've kind of have no use for him outside of clear out routes, right? As long as if Neighbors and Slayton are both healthy, he kind of brings you no use because both those guys are deep threats. On a team that had Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson, he brings you use because it gives you 2 guys you have to respect deep. Without that, he doesn't bring you much. And even last year, where he was the starter and he did have use, like, I think we totally overrate what his season was last year. You want to know what his 2023 game log was for yards? 0, 89, 0, 10, 0, 21, 75, 0, 19, 0, 7, 109, 13, 0, 0, 25, 13. So all the people that want to be like,
Those are 3 games.
If you get a quarterback who throws deep more, he would have more yards. Well, Tyrod Taylor had the second highest deep throw rate in the NFL last year. And how many yards did he have in those last 5 games of the year?
And he did it well, too.
51. Like, he had 109 yards with Tommy DeVito in that Patriots game. That was nice. He had 75 yards off 2 catches in that first Commanders game. That was nice. And he had 89 yards in the Cardinals game. So he had a big game with each quarterback that played. And outside that, he was a nothing. He averaged 21 yards per game. What do we call that? We call that a 4th or 5th wide receiver. He was 84th out of 96 receivers last year in yards per route run. This year, he can't even put him in there. He averages, .06. The next worst on the team is Isaiah Hodgins at .31. Like, I don't think he's a useful player.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'd rather play Isaiah Hodgins than him.
I'm so disinterested in talking about Jalen Hyatt that I'm ready to move on to the next question. But I'll even just throw this out there. Like, the dude's fast. Would you Would you try and manufacture some stuff to him, like a screen? Would you, if a corner's playing
No, because
off,
he's not good at yak. He's not good at yak.
if a corner's playing off and giving cushion, do you want to maybe try and give him a drag, like you saw against the Patriots on that third down where he made somebody miss? And again, I'm done. Like he is.
Yeah, but that's such a limited. Like that's such a limited.
I know, but that's why I'm trying. That's the only devil's advocate that I can really think of outside of just giving him more deep shots, which that's not. He's a non-factor. He's a non-factor.
Teams are going to just press him. Like if you can, there is ways you can get more out of Jalen Hyatt, but why would a team with 3, maybe even 4 receivers better than them spend all this effort to try and get him, more plays? Again, he gives you like some value, right? Like he does have value, some value, but it's not a lot.
Especially if you're going to quit on plays. Like even on the play where if you get an opportunity on the sideline. At this point, if you're Jalen Hyatt, you got to fight like hell for that football. I didn't see a lot of fight. I didn't see a lot of fight for that on that football. I saw a complaint after he didn't make the catch that he wanted that he wanted the official to throw a flag, and that effort that you showed on film and that you put on Twitter, it's like, man, if this is your weakness, and you're trying to prove to the coaching staff that you deserve more playing time, and you want to get better. And you get your ass kicked, and then you quit when you're the first read on a play, you deserve to be on the bench. And you shouldn't even question, why am I not on the field? That's why, bro. Because on the plays where you're the first progression, you're quitting because you got your ass kicked. And now you're fucking up the rest of the offense.
Yep. And we have this as fans, we have this fascination of, the guy that's not playing, what could he be? Right now it's happening with Drew Lock after the Daniel Jones bad game, and it's like this. You know what we learned with after all the takes of like Hyatt should be getting snaps from Darius Slayton. Know what we learned in these 2 games with Hyatt getting more snaps? That actually Slayton should be the one getting more involved in the offense, not him. So that's what we learned the last 2 weeks of Jalen Hyatt playing. You saw like I every time we do this with a player, I feel like Pat Shurmur. When Kyle Laletta came in that Washington game, went 0 for 5, where he goes to the media who's been asking to hear from him, like, did you see what you needed? Did you see what you needed? Did you figure it out? Next question.
What do you say? Do you want to have a rule where, dude, I'm tired of talking about him. I'm tired of talking about Jalen Hyatt. Can we have a rule where unless he does something big and significant or there's something new that comes out, Can we make a podcast rule that we don't have to talk about him? Because I'm done.
He had 2 games of starting. Now he's gonna have some like 3-catch, 97-yard games.
Okay,
like
great. Well, that hasn't come.
I know. But what I'm saying is, when that happens, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, like I'm over it.
Yeah, but until that happens, I almost want to put up a podcast rule of.
Well, we're not going to. Neighbors is coming back, and we've seen. But now we know. Now people know. They don't. There's no more doubts about it.
Big Blue Hulk at Big Blue Hulk. This is another you question. Was it just me, or did the Giants get away from duo and gap runs? Seems like a lot of running plays were out of shotgun or read option. I know they did some because I saw Runyon pull poorly, but it seemed like more zone heavy. And I have a feeling that the Bengals game was more zone heavy than gap or duo, right?
Do you know that this was their most success rate? Was their best game as a rushing offense? Now, that's a little influenced by QB sneaks and short yardage runs. Yeah, third and shorts,
2nd and 1s, and shit like that, yeah.
But that's still part of it, right? That's part of the story.
Which, by the way, I'm putting a pin. I'm putting a pin in the conversation in Big Blue Hulk's question. I don't mind, and this sounds crazy because Justin's analytics, Justin is big on explosive plays, and he's big on throwing the ball. I don't mind all the 2nd and 1 QB sneaks to get a first down. I saw, you were talking about
wrong. You're wrong.
Okay, I was talking about you. So you talk about it. Saw Dan Schneider talk about it. I don't feel good about this team on 3rd or 4th down. That I would rather just get the first down. I would rather get a new series and move the ball that way.
That's such a But I in the moment I actually had this.
That take. I hate that take. By the way, I hate that I have that.
In that moment, I had the same thought, but that's brain rot.
I know.
That is New York Giants fan. Again, I had the same thought. Someone asked me, is my brain poisoned by the Giants for actually liking this? And I said, yes, Mine was poison too in the moment where I was like, screw it, just get the damn first down.
Joe Judge would, like, I was in the stadium and I did not have a problem with it, which I think shows.
My
me being
emotional
there.
response was not having a problem with it either. But when I go back and look at it, I'm like, you know what? I should have a problem with this. Because if you don't trust the quarterback, like, again, Daniel Jones certainly played bad against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I can't believe we went from, like, if he just plays like this consistently to play Drew Lock. So that's what it's going to be like all year, unless unless DJ actually does play like the Vikings game every single week, which I don't forecast happening, especially with Neighbors getting back. He's going to be inconsistent. That's what he is. But back on track. 2nd and 1 is your time, dude. Like that's the only way they scored this game was taking a shot, getting a play action, pass interference, and then pounding it in. Like that's when you take your shots, especially when when it's 4-down territory, which the Giants were in 4-down territory in those spots. So I actually disagreed. And you don't have to throw it deep either, by the way. You could just hand the ball off on like a regular handoff, and maybe that becomes an explosive play. But when you QB sneak, you're limiting yourself to 3 yards essentially. You can run, go routes that turn into curl routes.
Or hitches on the sideline, right? Those hitch plays on the sidelines
like
worked all year.
They've had basically success with all the year outside of one that DJ skipped against the Bengals. So like it doesn't mean you got to go 5 guys out, empty protection, throw the ball deep. It doesn't mean that. But the QB sneak that's actually bullshit. So in the moment I said the same thing. Like when they QB sneaked, I'm sitting here watching the TV at my desk, saying like, good, just get the damn first down at this point. But in reality, that's stinking thinking.
You know what? And now I am going to backtrack because you get a 9-yard. I feel like that almost bypasses getting the 9-yard gain on first down, right? You should reward yourself by getting a 9-yard gain on first down by trying to
turn that less risky.
Trying to turn that 9-yard gain on first down. Reward yourself by maybe the next play if you get a 15-yard play, a 20-yard play, and then, obviously, when you start talking about getting a play of 20-plus yards, that exponentially increases your odds of scoring on that drive. So, yeah, you know what?
It's much less risky to take a deep shot on 2nd and 1 compared to 1st and 10.
This is why we do the mailbag pods. This is why.
Hey, listen,
this exact reason.
My emotional response was agreeing. But when I went back and looked at it, and especially the looks they got on it, that's stinking thinking.
Yeah. All right. So back to Big Blue Hulk's question. I wanted to talk to you about that. I'll read it. I'll read his question again. Was it just me, or did the Giants get away from duo and gap runs? We've talked about it every freaking week, Bobby. Talk to me about it again.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. They actually I thought they had success running inside zone, and I think part of it was duo because he had the linebackers crashing down hard. Like if the O-line reports are probably going to get a little tougher this year. Rest in peace, me.
Yes,
and Andrew Thomas. But one thing I have enjoyed doing is telling the story of the run game every week, which I've basically made a common theme for this year, and I think I'm going to continue because I just enjoy talking about it. So go watch the first segment of the O-line report. Like, they ran some duo, not a ton, but it's just the reality is they don't like running duo against stack boxes. And you can do it, but you have to, like, get a little heavier. You got to bring a wide receiver in, and he's got to be trusted to make a block on it. But they can, and they should do that more. But they actually had success inside zone because the linebackers were crashing down to try and stop those duo runs. Where they need to get better at is the pulling plays, because that's where they can be good. They're never going to be a great outside zone running team, even though Tracy's athleticism helps make up for it a little bit. Like they blocked outside zone really badly, but Tracy turned it into a 6-yard run because of his athleticism. With the pulling stuff is they just got to get teams like, the play where Sam Hubbard just goes and just basically turns John Runyon over by, cutting underneath him.
Yeah.
They just got to throw like a little fake. Right? Like, so say that like that end, defensive end is the guy you're pulling at. They need the right tackle or left tackle or whoever. Just take a step at that player and then go do your responsibility to stop them from squeezing that in so they can get a little more success pulling. But there's ways. But here's the thing about having a good run game. People just talk about like your O-line versus running back. There's a reason why there's like certain coordinators who are good at it. Like it has to be coached. There has to be an emphasis put on making the run game good. I know me and you hate watching it at training camp, Justin, but in reality, like there's a reason why some teams are good at running the ball and why some teams aren't.
Yeah.
And it's because they practice it and they get better at stuff and they look at tendencies. They don't just look at tendencies and their coverages and stuff. They actually try and get the run game really good.
Take the Lions out of this because the Lions just have a kick-ass offensive line. But the Ravens this year, their offensive line is not good. They had 3 new starters on that offensive line. Daniel Falele was playing a new position at guard. He was trained to be a tackle. They have a rookie right tackle starting at certain points. So they had a swing tackle who was starting for them at right tackle. With also Andrew Voorhees, the guy from USC that tore his ACL in the combine a couple years ago? Yeah, he's the left guard for the Baltimore Ravens. And that 49ers line, left guard to right tackle is not good. It's bad. They have Dominic
The Commanders have gotten... Look, here's something. The Commanders are 5th in rushing, and I know QB rushing involves that a little bit. But here's a take I've had since 2019. I remember doing my film research for the Cardinals preview in 2019, and I think I might have even tweeted it. I was like, I think Cliff Kingsbury is way more creative in the run game than he is the pass game. Like, I think that's where his creativity really shows when he was kind of talked about as a whiz kid back then. Like, there's ways to run without just being good interior blockers because their interior guys are just not good at zone blocking. So there's ways to get better at it. And hey,
Chargers? Do you think the Chargers have this kick-ass offensive line? No. So there's you got to coach it. You got to get better at it, and that's one of my critiques of Daboll overall. Before this year's like find ways to make your run game good, and besides just hand the ball off and pin and pull with Saquon and stuff. All right, next question. Next question is coming from, I believe. Oh God, is this the Mexican flag or the Italian flag? I think it's the Mexican flag.
Well, what's the name?
There is no name. It's at SG. It's at S. Giamarino 23. With Daniel Jones struggling to read defenses, will you struggle to read an ad as a result?
Why don't you do your ad, and I'm gonna go look at the doc that we put together, and I'm gonna figure out if this is a Mexican flag or an Italian flag. And I'm gonna clown on you.
Yes, please do. My guess is Mexican. Is the Mexico flag. Would you like to be a tailgate champion, Bobby Skinner? Would you like to be a tailgate champion? Oh, wow. Would you like to be a tailgate champion person who's listening to this? You can win $10,000 for the Ultimate Football Tailgate if you enter the 5-Hour Energy Tailgate Champ Sweepstakes, and you could have a chance to win $10,000 towards your own tailgate. Hell yeah, brother. And 5-Hour Energy.
It's Italian.
Really? What did I say? What was the 2 options I said? Did I say
Italian
Mexico and Italy? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I think the name is like Gia Marino, so that should give it away too.
You know what? They are pizza people. The 5-Hour Energy.
When the Giants won and every Patreon was Italian? Yes. Italians are low-key bandwagon fans. No offense to all you bandwagon Italian fans.
Oh, I actually want to hear the Patreon names again because there were a couple people out at the tailgate this past weekend that said we're pizza people and we're going to sign up for the tailgate. We're going to sign up for the Patreon. They said that. 5-Hour Energy, as a product, it's quick, simple, and effective. As a drink, you can drink it in seconds, you feel it in minutes, and it lasts for hours. Approximately 5. Zero sugar and packed with B vitamins and amino acids. Provides a feeling of alertness and energy. And guess what? You want a better reason to like 5-Hour Energy? They like us. They like what we're doing. They repost us on our socials. I was spinning a ball on top of a truck on my finger because I can do that flex with the 5-Hour Energy. And they're like, wow, look at this. This is aura. This is talent. And I'm like, I agree, 5-Hour Energy. Learn more. To be that tailgate champion, if you want to enter those tailgate champ sweepstakes, you can learn more at 5hewin.com. No purchase necessary. Ends October 31st, 2024. See full official rules for details and how to enter without purchase at 5hewin. That's 5hewin.com. Shop now at 5hourenergy.com to find your favorite flavor as well. You'd be glad you did, Bobby Skinner.
They lied to you. The last names are Murtha, which is Irish, and then Longsworth, which is old English.
Or maybe they just didn't sign up yet.
Maybe, or maybe they lied straight to your stupid
No,
face.
they didn't. No, this was a very nice family. It was a father and like his 2 teenage sons. And they're like, oh, we all listen. I'm like, that's awesome. Want to be best friends with all of you. We were chatting.
Well, they better sign up, or they're bad examples for their teenage sons.
I know, because they just lied to me. Also lied to me. Well, I consider them friends. They said we're pizza people. Okay.
I hope they know we're joking a little bit. All right, next question.
Danny B at Bozzy18 and Westlock at Westy Westigles. Danny B asks first, what has been the main difference of Brian Dable's play calling to that of Mike Kafka's last season? Where is it better or worse? And Wes asks, are the Giants still using Wan'Dale Robinson at the same target share as earlier in the season and on third downs?
I didn't have time to look up the Wan'Dale thing specifically.
I also didn't either.
But I think we have a sample size, enough of a sample size to like look at Dable versus Kafka. I actually saved this question was from last week's mailbag, and I saved it for this week because I wanted to talk about this, but want a little more sample size. I'll be honest, I don't know if I like Dable more. Now here's Dable's more aggressive, right? Like he is clearly more aggressive as a play caller. But the Giants also have offensive line help. You know, they throw the ball way more, but they also don't have Saquon Barkley anymore. DJ's throwing the ball at a very high rate. Dable likes to run choice routes, right? He loved it with Cole Beasley in Buffalo, and you've seen it with Wan'Dale. Just choice. He likes to spam his wide receiver one and then his slot wide receiver. But again, Dable's more aggressive, which I like, and they've had chances to have these big plays and they haven't hit them. But he'll run stuff like four verts. Where I like Kafka is I think Kafka sequences things together pretty well. I think Kafka likes play action a lot more. Sometimes to his detriment, right? Late in 2022, they were like, all right, teams are not buying this play action on like second down anymore. But what I really loved about Kafka is his ability to build off of his concepts, where he would put something that he liked on film and teams would start to adjust to it. And then he would zag out of it, right? Where I haven't seen that with Dable. This is where you get the comparative. Dable's taken away some of like their most comfortable plays out of the playbook. They almost never run mesh. It's basically only the mesh, whip where they don't actually finish it. And they got it versus man coverage this week, and they just whipped out because I think it was pre-planned. It wasn't the receivers reading what their coverage was. So that, the deep post and the over on play action, they haven't run that at all either this year, really. So I really like the way Kafka builds off of plays and adds new wrinkles to familiar concepts, where I feel like Dable is much more like, let's take some shots. Dable likes to go for the kill. We've seen that with all these, attempts to get these throwback passes. And Dable will just spam choice routes with his slot wide receiver, which we've seen it. Like Wan'Dale Robinson's like leading the NFL in targets.
Yeah, this is tough because the personnel is so different. Like Mike Kafka didn't have Malik Neighbors when he was calling plays.
Or the O-line.
Or the O-line. And now that Saquon Barkley's gone, the Giants do have in pass neutral situations when the win probability is on 1st and 10, when the win probability is between 20% and 80%, excluding the final 2 minutes of the half, it's the Giants and the Seahawks that have the two highest pass rates on 1st and 10. It's the Seahawks, it's the Giants, and then it's a gap. And then it's the Bengals, Browns, Rams, and the Cowboys. So I was pretty shocked to see that. Because the Giants used to be like middle of the pack on like the early down pass frequency, and to see them second, it's like, oh, this is the stuff that you would see Brian Dable back at Buffalo. Now the fun thing is that on 1st and 10, I've looked at the Giants' early down efficiency this year, and early downs I consider to be 1st and 2nd down, and then 3rd and 4th down is late downs. Like I've looked at the Giants' early down frequency on 1st and 2nd down, and be like, oh, it's kind of bad. It's not very good. But after I saw this chart and I saw this graph of the 1st and 10 neutral pass rate on 1st down, and the Giants were second highest, I'm like, all right, well, let's just separate on a 1st down. Bobby, the Giants' EPA per play on 1st down and alone on 1st down is 12th, which is pretty high. It's pretty good, especially for a unit that has kind of struggled to find its identity running the ball. And I think they will continue to struggle finding its identity. They are last 32nd on second down. That's not very good. So they've been pretty decent on first down. They are last on second down. And then if you pause for a second, I'll let you know what they are on third down, which I think is pretty good because Daniel Jones they've been a very third down heavy offense. They are 9th on third down. And a lot of that is relying on, throwing the ball, or you're doing those QB sneaks and you're doing short runs. So they're good
Neighbors
on
and
third
Slayton
down,
have
but they're
been
the worst
great
team in
on
the
third
NFL on second down. Yeah. So, Wandale's been decent.
Wandale's been like kind of below. Like Wandale gets a ton of targets. He doesn't convert a ton, but like Neighbors and Slayton have been so money on third down. Neighbors has been essentially perfect. But they also they have the fit. Like I understand there's no Saquon now, but they have like they throw the 5th most passing attempts per game. The only teams more are the Seahawks, Cowboys, Jets, and Texans. So
and to be where they are in points scored is not very good. And what is frustrating is to be 25th in red zone percentage is bad when in 2022 they were top 3, top 5. And I feel like that's where you have execution and play calling just gets so important inside the red zone in the green area. Tom Coughlin used to call it. That is where I will say, if there is a difference between Kafka and Daboll, at least in my mind, it's inside the red zone.
Yeah, I think Kafka would just found better ways to score within the red zone. Now, Saquon Barkley, I think, helps a little bit with that. I'm looking at some stuff. I'm going to tweet this out right now. The Giants run the most plays per game on offense.
Yeah, they don't really get explosive plays all that much. So they sustain drives
per game. I'm going to tweet that out.
That's why the lack of explosives. The lack of explosives hurt because then you run all those plays and then drives just stall.
They're 15th,
and then you miss kicks.
They're 15th in first downs per game, which doesn't go great with that one. They're obviously 29th in points per game. Justin, is there any other one I can do? Their scoring percentage is 27th. I'm just going to tweet this stat out. All right,
great.
next question.
Next question. I find myself sitting at MetLife. On the road, it's a lot different, but I do find myself sitting at MetLife saying, first down, second down, third down. First down, second down, third down. First down, second down, third down. Which is why in the moment when they were QB sneaking on second down, I didn't mind doing it because I wasn't saying first down, second down, third down. But it is bad process. Nico Risen, our guy at Nico Risen. The Giants team makes me angry. Read an ad.
A chill's in the air, leaves falling to the ground, and football every weekend. That's what fall's all about. You can make each weekend even more exciting by getting to the action with our partners at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet on touchdowns. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets when you use code WORLD. How about our Spankies, Justin? They're going to go to the World Series.
Yeah.
Have you had that moment? Like, I know we're not as much into baseball because we do football for a living now.
I'm
But
going to tell you
as a Yankees fan, I'm like, it's about damn time. Like, it's been since 2009. Get back to the damn World Series. Win the damn thing.
I had a conversation with somebody at the Rahway train station who was like, I love what you guys do. I was like, oh, cool. Flex, recognize in public. And I had the conversation with them being like, it doesn't even feel like they're in the postseason yet because the opponents have been so easy. I think it's going to feel more real when they're in the World Series.
Yeah, if they're playing you get the Mets or the Dodgers, that's going to feel huge no matter who the
juice
opponent.
will be there.
I hope it's the Mets. I think it's an easier opponent, and Subway Series would be insane. That's $200 in bonus bets instantly. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code WORLD and bet just $5 in any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WORLD only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You'll be glad you did. Next question. I feel bad about asking this next question, but just go for it.
Yeah, this is the last question. Calvin T asked at CTAETZSCH. Sorry if that's pronounced as something. I don't feel like trying to pronounce it. If you had one trade to make before the deadline, what would it be? Yeah, I don't know much. Yeah, I mean, besides him, you're not trading away Okereke.
Everyone's gonna say Slayton. I have dug in so much where I think the Giants people are like, well, you're gonna have to be ready to pay him $10+ million, like, yes, I am willing to pay a top 10 player on the roster $10+ million per year when we have no.
Also, that's a
free
bargain.
agents.
I feel like that's a bargain for.
Well, it
a
could
wide
get to
receiver,
14 or 15 mil, but I also think the fact that you look at the wide receiver free agent market this year, and it's got a lot better players. So I think it'll be different, right? Where you don't have, the lesser guys make more money. So we'll see. But here's my point: it's like I'm willing. If it's 14 million per year with the exploding cap, I know that number sounds crazy, but with the exploding cap, the Giants cap situation being good, the fact that they don't have any pending free agents that are going to get any money, yeah, sign me up, dude. Sign me up for another 2 years.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But he does drop the ball, so that means he should be banished forever.
But really, there's no other trade candidate on this roster. Like, the only player that I think other teams may want is Bobby Okereke, but they're not trading away Bobby Okereke.
They're not trading away Okereke.
He's going to be here next year. He has the same cap hit as he does this year at $14 million. I think that's a good contract. I think he's a good player. And I don't think any other teams would want anybody that the Giants would be willing to trade away. So,
no, it's basically
Devin
just
Singletary for a fucking 6th-round pick.
Nope. It's basically only Slayton. A surprise one that I could see happening. Surprise. Adoree Jackson. Sometimes teams are willing to, think about, like, would you have thought Jordan Phillips would have gotten a pick swap?
No. Yeah, maybe a competing team needs a corner desperately.
Yeah, like desperately, and you do a 6th and a 7th round pick swap. Like the Vikings just traded for Cam Akers
from the Texans. Yeah,
yeah. Who I think he was on the Vikings this year, and they cut him or something.
Yeah, he was.
Like that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't see it happening this year because the only expiring contract that teams would want to trade for is Darius Slayton, and I don't think they should do that. I think they should actually just re-sign him. Now, I understand the argument. They're going to let him walk, but don't let him walk. Like, there's no reason to. Look at the future cap space, the Giants' upcoming free agents, and tell me why Darius Slayton should walk.
Yeah, they don't have to pay. The 2021 draft class was so bad. They're not paying anybody.
Yeah, why should they create another hole? I'm not ready to say Azeez Ojulari is getting this big contract off of one game where he had, like, sacks off of a offensive tackle not getting off the ball and a stunt.
He looked good.
Yeah, he had a solid game, but Azeez isn't getting paid, this offseason. You know what? Maybe he does, but
don't diminish my boy Azeez Ojulari.
Hey, I was happy with his play. Like, that's what I want from Azeez Ojulari right now. But anyways, it was a good game for Azeez Ojulari. I'm not going to take away from that, but I don't think Azeez Ojulari is getting a lot of money. He's still injury prone. All right, that's a mailbag. We'll be back on Friday for a preview. Get ready to boo. Boo, 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 boo. Like that, this is my Super Bowl. If the Giants win this game versus the Eagles, and then the Eagles fans are in our mentions being like, you guys are treating this like it's your Super Bowl. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, bro.
We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.